Hold up, I am on my way, I'm in motion. Let's go to the ocean. Yeah, let's go outside. We can hang out on the beach without freezing.
Welcome to Crafty Beach. This is Julie. Today I have 20 of my best fall Dollar Tree DIYs for you. All of these are really fun. A lot of them have a little bit of a coastal fall touch, and I really hope you enjoy today's video. For the first one, I'm going to use one of the Dollar Tree pumpkin yard stakes. I just went ahead and popped the little metal bar off the back of it just to make it easier to store, so I already did that. And then for this sign, I'm going to use just a thrifted sign that I found at Goodwill. I liked it because it is made out of wood. It's thick and boxy, but you could always use a Dollar Tree sign for the background. I thought this would be heavy enough to hold up the metal pumpkin though. Now for the sides, the first thing I'm going to do is distress them. I believe this is cashew chalk paint. I wanted just like a tannish color, something that kind of looked more like driftwood or sand or something like that. So I kind of do a rough distress here along the edges. It was already black before. I don't mind if a little bit of that shines through because it will make it look a little bit distressed, but otherwise I wanted the sides to be that color. And then for the wood grain on it, I just go over it with a dry brush and some Antique Wax by Waverly, kind of giving me that driftwood wood grain in there. And I really love that for especially for a coastal fall decor. Now to put this thing together, I want to cover the front of it and I want to cover it with burlap. So this is the burlap that I'm going to use. These are the little faux burlap bags from the Dollar Tree. I can usually find them in my Crafter Square section, sometimes in home decor. I thought though that you still might be able to read the letters through the burlap. And so I did go over the top of the sign with that same cashew color, just so you couldn't see the writing through the burlap at all. I was worried about that. And that looks way better. So I love using these bags. I usually use either the front or the back, and it just gives me a great piece of burlap. You don't have to worry about the fraying and stuff like that. It's got this light plastic coating on the back of it that makes it really easy to cut. You can also draw on it, which was what I'm doing here with the Sharpie. So I can just cut this down to size. Now, if you wanted to use real burlap, you totally could. Dollar Tree does carry that as well, in the rolls. And I just cut out a little rectangle for the back of my sign. I love the fact that the metal pumpkin has that great design on it. I think it's going to look really good on top of the texture of the burlap. So I think that will work. I'm going to go ahead and attach it with hot glue. I didn't like the fact that you could see the ridge in it though. So I'm going to go ahead and do the rest of it with some Mod Podge. That will be hidden behind the pumpkin. I was just kind of doing a little test spot to see if that would work. And you know what? Mod Podge works way better for this one. And I just go ahead and do both sides and glue that to our sign. Now for the metal pumpkin itself, the one that I picked up was orange, very traditional fall color. And you can leave it like that if you want to do more of a traditional fall decor. I wanted to make mine coastal, so I'm going to paint mine. I just removed a little raffia bow there with a little bit of heat, and I kind of bend it to make sure that it's going to lay flat against my sign, and then I'm going to go in and paint it. I'm going to mix a couple colors together, white with, I believe, Caribbean blue. It gives me this really light beachy blue, which is my favorite for coastal decor. Very similar to the Cloudless by Apple Barrel, I think. And I'm just going to go all over and paint this. Now you can use acrylic paint like I did. You could also spray paint this if you wanted. I really just want to cover that bright orange. And as you can see, since I'm doing such a soft color, it is going to take a couple of coats to cover that bright orange color. I'm just using a foam brush, making sure that I kind of get in all the way. I know they have these every year at the Dollar Tree. They kind of change them up a little bit. I always try to pick one or two of these up every year just because I think they're really fun to craft with. Just a really interesting looking pumpkin. I hardly ever use their yardsticks as yardsticks. I usually always make something with them. I didn't really want to paint my leaves blue, so just cleaning that up. And I let that dry, and I could still see some of the orange coming through, so I just go in with another coat of the blue until I have good coverage. Now, I'm also going to want to distress this, of course, to make it look coastal. So I actually go back and decide to distress my leaves with that blue. And then I also went in with a little bit of white on them as well. And then for the pumpkin stem, I used some antique wax by Waverly to kind of give me that brown. You could also use like brown paint. I really kind of like the way that this looks. When I painted it on, it kind of looked like a pumpkin stem. And I really wasn't sure what to do with those leaves. I had left them green. I didn't like them. I had distressed them with blue and didn't really like them. But I kind of like them just distressed white like that. I think that's going to look good. So as you can see, the pumpkin is a little bit bigger than the sign. And it kind of arches up a little bit. So I need to find a way to make it like sit against the sign and attach it well. I decided to use some of those little mini Jenga blocks from Dollar Tree. For a little spacer, I take 2 of them. I found that on their side worked the best for my sign. I hot glued those on there, and then I'm going to glue the metal sign to that. Now, metal and hot glue don't always work great. You can use like a stronger glue, like E6000 or something like that. But for this project, I was a little short on time, so I just used hot glue. But remember, sometimes it works on the metal. Sometimes you do need something a little bit stronger, in my experience with it. Now for the finishing touch here, I'm going to use one of the Dollar Tree sand dollars. These are from the Shore Living line that they have every spring at Dollar Tree. I always stock up a whole case usually of sand dollars and starfish to last me the whole year because they are so great for coastal crafting. And that's all there is to it. We have a little coastal pumpkin. I think it is super cute. What do you guys think about this one? I love the colors. Anytime I can use like a light blue and white for a coastal craft, I love it. Now, if you don't do coastal decor, you could do this, just about any color. And then for the sand dollar, you could always use something else or just leave it with just the pumpkin. It would be really cute too. Super fun and easy. I really love how that one turned out. For the next one, I want to make a coastal fall wreath using some of the pampas grass from Dollar Tree. This is the one that's kind of, the tannish straw color. It's a little bit longer than the seasonal color ones I've noticed. But I thought it would be really cool to try to make a wreath with it. I wasn't really sure how I was going to pull it off, but I thought maybe if I separate the little pieces of pampas grass, it would be a little bit better. So just trying to find the best way to cut that. I was just using my floral scissors there from Dollar Tree. So one of those gives me 4 of the pampas pieces. And I'm using just one of the metal wreath forms from the Dollar Tree. That is one of the gold ones. I was trying to decide how in the world am I going to cover it. I thought that one of the wire wreath forms would work the best because it's so thin. I won't have to hide the wreath form. And so I decided to zip tie it. I don't really want the zip ties to be visible though. So it was a little tricky for me. When I posted this video originally, a lot of you guys had the idea of using fishing line for this, that you could tie it with fishing line and it would be hidden in the pampas grass and you wouldn't be able to see that. And I think that is a really good idea. I'm planning to do more than one layer of the pampas grass, so I think I can hide the zip tie if I need to. So here to kind of make it take the shape of the circle, I use another zip tie like right there. Now I want to do this one like with fall colors, so it's going to be like the pampas grass. We're also going to bring in some mushrooms on this fall DIY, which I really love. I love crafting with mushrooms for about every season. I've used them in spring. I've used them in fall a lot. And I was just at Dollar General the other day and they had mushrooms for Christmas. And I was like, oh, mushrooms for Christmas? You can use them for just about anything. So I'm continuing that pattern around my wreath form, just overlapping the pampas grass a little bit here on the fluffy end with my stems. And going all the way around until it is completely covered with my first round. And of course you can still see the zip ties, but I'm going to try to find a way to disguise that. And I want it to be thicker. It's just way too thin for a wreath. It's going to be a smaller wreath like this. You could use this for a door. I used mine actually for a wall hanging, and it looked really pretty. So I'm going to go ahead and take apart another one right here. The seasonal ones, they have like an orange, like a mustard yellow color. They have black, I believe. They have lots of different colors of these. So you can kind of find whatever you can get. At this point, my stores are fall, Halloween, and Christmas. And every store is completely different on what they have. Either they have tons of one, the first one, the second one, or the third one. They're all different. I know they're having trouble trying to probably fit it everywhere right now. I know in my craft room it's the same way. So to disguise that, instead of using any zip ties on this round, I just used hot glue. That way you won't be able to see any of the way it's connected, and it'll make it look like the pampas grass is just kind of floating on it. So I just use hot glue, and I just do a thin bead of it right where the stem of the pampas grass is going to be. And I think it looks better thicker like this too. I kind of tuck that one in so it's still all kind of layered and piled on top of each other. Now it's time to decorate it. I told you we were going to use mushrooms, and I'm going to use them in a coastal blue color. I'm also going to use a Dollar Tree starfish from the Shore Living line at Dollar Tree. And I'm going to hot glue that one to the pampas grass right about here. I love the blue mushrooms. Those are my favorite ones out of all the fall colors. They have like orange topped ones, red ones, brown ones, but the blue ones are great for coastal decor. So if you wanted to do this one without a coastal twist, you could use any of the fall colored ones that I just mentioned and use something else instead of the starfish for sure. And I'm just going to attach them to it. I thought that they were going to be a little bit too round like this, so I'm going to cut mine down. I'm just using one of those pool noodle knives that they have at the Dollar Tree, and I am just cutting that right through, trying not to destroy it in the process. They are a little bit fragile, so be careful with this part. As you can see, the top of it wanted to come off a little bit. This piece, though, I got all off in one piece. Kind of barely, but see how much better it's going to sit on the wreath form now when it has a flat side like that, but it still gives you the 3D look. This is my other one. I can just put that back together. So one of those mushrooms will be like two of them here on this side of it. I did kind of reattach it with some hot glue because the cap, as you can see, was barely holding on after I cut it apart. And then I'm just going to attach those to the wreath form with some hot glue. I'm going to do the two over on this side with the starfish. I'm also going to decorate the top right side of it as well. If you want it to be more simplistic, you could just decorate one side of it like this. I really wanted lots of fun little fall coastal touches to this too. So I just glue the cap back on this one, trying to put it back together like it was before, and then I'll hot glue that kind of coming off to the side like that. It was really easy to attach that to the pampas grass and kind of make sure that it stays in place. Now for the other side, I thought it would be fun to decorate it as well. I want to use some of those beautiful blue leaves from the Dollar Tree and maybe some seashells as well. I think all of the colors will work really nice together. I was trying to go through my seashell stash to see what I thought would look the best. I tried to just stay with the light blue and like white color scheme that I already had going on. Now, when you pull these off the little bundles from the Dollar Tree like that, they come out in like little bundles like that. You can leave them attached or separate them. I decided to cut mine apart so I could kind of individually place them on there. And I just want to decorate this corner of the wreath form as well. So just using hot glue, I glue on both of my little fall leaves and then add a seashell to them as well. Really cute, kind of an unexpected DIY for fall. But again, I love using blue, any kind of coastal for fall. But I also love using fun items like mushrooms. I think that's so cool. For the hanger, I just did a little piece of twine that I knotted at the top. And there it is, our pampas grass coastal fall wreath. I think it is really fun and definitely really unique. What do you guys think about this one? Be sure to let me know when you're done watching today's video, which one of these crafts today was your favorite. I always love reading all of your kind comments. Isn't that cool? So it's another fun way for you to use the pampas grass from the Dollar Tree. I love crafting with it. Sometimes it's a little difficult though to figure out what to do with it. For the next DIY, I picked up one of the classic jack-o'-lantern pails from the Walmart, actually not Dollar Tree. I couldn't find any at Dollar Tree. And some of the Dollar Tree burlap rolls. I wish they had the round ones like this at Dollar Tree. I think I look for them every year and they never have them, but they're only a couple of dollars, I think, at Walmart. I picked up a blue one because I thought that was fun and coastal, but I'm actually going to be covering it anyway. There, I think it was $1.95, $1.98, something like that for this one. And I wanted to make a fun kind of fall and Halloween craft. So I wanted to light up, and I want you to be able to see like the jack-o'-lantern face light up. So the first thing I do is cut a hole here in the bottom of the jack-o'-lantern, something that's gonna be large enough for me to put one of the little Dollar Tree battery operated tea light candles in so that I can light up the face. I don't want it to be a real candle because what I want to do is cover the entire thing with burlap and make it a beautiful coastal fall pumpkin during the day, and during the night it's a fun Halloween decoration too. So I just use my razor blade, be really careful with this, and cut through. The plastic is pretty thin in most places on this. It almost cuts a little bit too easily, so definitely be careful. I just cut out the eyes, the nose, and the mouth. And the mouth has like a lot of black like paint on it, making sure I cut out all of that. I only want to leave the little jack-o'-lantern teeth. And that's going to light up with the eyes, the nose, and the jack-o'-lantern underneath the burlap is my plan if this works. Now this is the rolled burlap from the Dollar Tree. You could also use like a burlap ribbon, kind of whatever you can find. If you don't have any of that, you only have like rolled burlap, you could always try to cut some strips. I don't really want a lot of fraying on mine though, so I think that this one's going to work perfect. I just start at the bottom of the jack-o'-lantern and attach that with hot glue, making sure I don't cover up where I want to put the candle in it because I want to be able to replace that if needed. And wrap it all the way around. I cut it off where, again, where the candle holder would start with the hole that I cut in there first. So basically I cut that first so I can kind of work around it. Now I'm going to crisscross here, kind of making an X, covering it again, leaving the bottom open. And I'm only attaching the burlap to the pumpkin on the bottom. That way I can kind of hide all my hot glue down here. Then I kind of crisscross it again, and I'm just going to keep wrapping it with the rolled burlap like this until I cover the entire outside. Now, the burlap roll from the Dollar Tree is a little bit wider than like a typical burlap ribbon, but I like the fact that it's going to have like different like little sections like that. I think it's going to make it look more like a pumpkin. So I just do that as many times as it takes to cover up all of the blue on it, and it's all kind of overlapped. I don't mind that the blue shines through the burlap a little bit. I think that looks cool. And then I just go back and kind of glue the seams of my burlap there, so none of them are sticking out and everything is like fit tight and closely next to the pumpkin, just to clean it up a little bit. I'm gonna add my candle inside, and I wanted to make sure that this was gonna work before I went any further, so let's test it out. And it totally does. There's our little jack-o'-lantern face. I thought this was a unique idea to do with one of these little jack-o'-lantern baskets. If you have one laying around, you could cover it with just about anything. But my favorite part of this DIY is that it looks beautiful during the day. I'm going to make it look like a coastal burlap pumpkin for there during the day. So to do that, I'm going to use some of the wood stems from the Dollar Tree. I decided to put a couple of them together like that to make it look more like a gnarly pumpkin stem, just attaching them with hot glue. You could also use driftwood for this if you have any of that, or even like a stick from your yard. You can get really creative with your pumpkin stems. And then I want to use some of the Dollar Tree nautical rope. And I just kind of wrap that around it. It's going to give me a bigger, bulkier pumpkin stem like that. And I really wanted this to have a rope stem. As you can see, I left a little length on there before I started attaching it so I can use some of that for pumpkin tendrils. And I just cover the entire wood stem that I DIY'd. And we have a nice rope pumpkin stem. Now, if you unravel the rope like that, you're going to get some curly cues like that. I decided I only wanted 2 of them, so I cut one off. For the pumpkin leaf, I'm going to do tropical as well. So I picked up some of this fall foliage or foliage from the Dollar Tree. Definitely not fall. They have this usually year-round. And I am just going to hot glue the leaves to it. I think the tropical leaves really adds a fun touch. And I just attach both of those with a little bit of hot glue. And then, of course, it's a coastal pumpkin. I want to decorate it with some more seashells here to finish off the look. So during the day, it looks really beautiful. And then during the night, you can light it up and you have a fun little jack-o'-lantern peeking out. It's kind of like a little surprise DIY, right? I also add a starfish. I pick up these little tiny starfish on Amazon. They are linked in my Amazon shop. I love them. They're great for coastal crafting, and this is how it turned out. Kind of fun, kind of different. I love it. I love the fact that I made it beautiful. So again, this is what it looks like during the day. Little secrets behind it, and this is what it looks like lit up. Totally different vibe with the little jack-o'-lantern face. And if you want to turn off all the lights, this is how the face kind of shines through, which is really fun. I hope you enjoyed this DIY. I had a lot of fun putting this one together. Okay, are you ready for another fall DIY? I picked up just a Dollar Tree pumpkin sign. It doesn't matter what it is. I just wanted a pumpkin that had a stand. And I want to be able to DIY it myself. So I just popped off the little pumpkin that was on there. This has like glitter and fabric and a little raffia bow on it. I don't really want to have to pull the fabric and stuff off. So I'm just going to kind of paint over everything. It's going to seal in all that glitter, kind of hide the fabric and everything. And I thought the fabric would give me something nice to attach the seashells to, because we're going to be making a seashell pumpkin for this one. The color that I'm using is, I think, cashew and chalk paint, just to give me a nice like tan background, something that's going to kind of blend in and go more with the seashells that we're going to add to the front of this pumpkin. I did tape off the base of it, so I didn't get any paint on that, but I do wanted to stress it a little bit. I just wanted it to be the way I wanted it to look. So I just go over that dark wood that's on there, and I just dry brush some of that light color on it to kind of give it more of a driftwood vibe down there. So it's not quite so dark and contrasting against it. Now for the seashells, I'm going to use the Dollar Tree seashells. These are the ones that come in the little glass jars. I know they can be a little tricky to find anymore at Dollar Tree. And so another option is to get them on Amazon. I got a great big jar of them the other day on Amazon. You get like 1,200 of them. They're pretty inexpensive. And I have those linked in my Amazon shop in the description of today's video too. If you need some little tiny seashells like this, but you could always use some larger ones if you wanted. I wanted tiny because I want this pumpkin covered with them. So I do my first row like that. And then for my next row, I'm going to kind of try to nest them in a little bit in between them, sandwiching it all together, covering as much of the pumpkin as I can. And I'm trying to use like all the same colors. I had a lot of this color, and so I thought I would go with that. As you can see, you know, they are different shapes and sizes, but that kind of adds to the beauty of this project. And it does take a while to hot glue these on. I'm just putting hot glue on the top arch and gluing those on. And you do have to kind of try them on for size first to make sure they're going to fit. But I'm going to speed this way up because it is a little bit time consuming to glue all of these on. But I absolutely love how it turns out. Anytime I can encrust something with shells like this, I think it looks so beautiful. And Seashell crafting is always fun. Whether you buy your seashells like this or find them at the beach. Now, if you wanted yours to be more colorful, you could kind of switch up the colors. As you can see, the ones that I have from the Dollar Tree were pretty much all about the same kind of color. Some of them had a little bit of gray in them here or there, which I used those too, just because I thought that was fun. But again, I wanted them all to be a little bit different from each other. Now, when I get to the pumpkin stem, instead of doing shells on that part, I thought I could build it out a tiny bit with just some popsicle sticks. So I just cut the ends off a popsicle stick and I can kind of make the pumpkin stem go off to the side like this. And so I'm just going to attach one of them on the front and one of them on the back like that. And it's going to extend the pumpkin stem over to the side. And then I can wrap it with some Dollar Tree twine. I thought that would go good with the coastal fall aspect of the sign. Just going to remove this tag back here. I'm going to attach the twine right here at the base with some hot glue and just wrap our new little pumpkin stem. And I'm glad I did that because this sign in particular has just a really small stumpy pumpkin stem on there. And I wanted to give it just a little bit more character. Since I'm wrapping it, you won't be able to tell that there's different pieces of wood in here and that the popsicle sticks in here. It kind of makes it all kind of flow seamlessly. When I get up here though, I do start adding some hot glue just to kind of make sure that it doesn't fall off as I make that transition. And especially when you get like to the tips and stuff like that, you're going to have to use some hot glue to kind of finish it off. But I think it's looking really cute so far. What do you think? I really enjoy fall DIYs. I think I've probably done more fall DIYs on my channel than I've done anything. It's just so much fun to decorate for fall. And anytime I can incorporate a little bit of coastal into it, it's great too. As you can see, my Dollar Tree pumpkin sign was a little bit off center. I did try to kind of bend it back and forth. You really can't tell on the final project though. For the little pumpkin tendril, I just take some of the Dollar Tree wired jute and just wrap it around something round to give me a little curly cue. And then I'm just going to attach it back here to the back. That kind of twine, it matches in with the twine being the wired jute like that. Having that go off to the side a little bit. And then I always like to add like pumpkin leaves of some kind. I had a little bit of this greenery left over from I think a Target dollar spot greenery that I had, but it has these really cute little green leaves, so I thought they would be perfect. They're not too bright. And again, I don't like to necessarily do traditional fall colors all the time for my fall DIYs. I just glue one like that, and here is our little shell pumpkin. Really cute, just a little time consuming to glue all of those seashells on there, but as you can see, they look really beautiful. It really adds a lot of character to the piece. And the fact that that pumpkin had the material in the back, it almost gives you like a burlap background being painted that color. Really cute. I really like that one. Very classy as well. Now for the next DIY, I wanted to try something with a Dollar Tree fall leaf. I picked up this sign. I liked the size of it. It's one of the Give Thanks ones, but you could use any of them. And then I also picked up a Dollar Tree wood round. I wanted to do something like that looked kind of like the seaweed that washes up on the beach with like some seashells with some fall colors on this one. And I love how it turned out. It was really cool. To cover up the sign itself, I wanted a blue background and I wanted to use one of the Dollar Tree placemats. This one it's not really necessarily blue. It's more of like that mint green color, but this works really well with coastal decor as well. I think it's really pretty. And I know it's not wide enough for the Dollar Tree wood round, but I can always piece it together and cover the whole thing. So I just cut out what I could of the circle first. And then I'll just go back here and attach this, and then we can cut off that as well. So I thought I would go ahead and just attach the placemat first that I have. So I just put some hot glue here on the back. You could use Mod Podge for this one, but I really didn't have any trouble using hot glue with those mats. And just making sure that everything is laying nice and flat. My heat gun kind of helped me a little bit on that. And this one I decided to attach first before I cut it, just to make sure that I get it cut properly. So I just attached that with hot glue as well, and then go back and cut out that circle shape. And you can't really tell that I had to piece that together. Now for the holes, I'm just going to go ahead and poke the holes that were already on the wood round through the placemat so that I can make a hanging sign out of this. And this is going to be the background for our coastal leaf DIY. The hanger on it, I'm just going to go ahead and reattach. I saved the one that was on there. I just kind of string it through the front here. Again, trying to make sure that the holes that I poked in there are large enough for that little plastic piece to pop it through. And then we can decorate the fall leaf that's going to go on top. I know this one's a little busy. It's got like a lot of stuff going on, the glitter and stuff like that, but it is what I had, so I decided to go ahead and use it. I do know that they do have like plain wood leaf signs from Dollar Tree too that you could use for this. This one was, I think, a little bit bigger, and I had it, so I decided to go ahead and craft with this one. I just removed the pop-off on the back so that it wouldn't interfere, and the hanger, and I'm just going to decorate the back. It's going to make it easier. I won't have to fight against the glitter and stuff that was already on there. Now for the seaweed part of it, I'm going to use Spanish moss. I think it really gives you like that seaweed look, that stuff that washes up on the beach. It's not my favorite thing about the beach, but it's definitely a part of the beach, so I thought I would try to incorporate that into my DIY. Now this is a Dollar Tree Spanish moss. I've been having a lot of trouble finding this at Dollar Tree lately. This and the reindeer moss. Lately I've had to pick some up at Walmart, which disappointed me because surely they're going to get it back in because I know it's really popular. I know I craft with moss all the time. I think it's so cool. And as you can see, I'm just working like one piece at a time and hot gluing that to it. If I get a little bit too much hot glue anywhere, I just kind of go in with my heat gun, kind of melt it in where you can't see it too much. But I just want a really fluffy little Spanish moss leaf for this. And, you know, we used to live on the island here in Florida, and we had the giant ancient oaks that had the Spanish moss hanging from them. So that kind of gives me a beachy vibe as well. Even if it doesn't really it does kind of look like seaweed, but you can also use it just for Spanish moss. Once I got it all glued on, I decided it was a little rough looking. So I just go around and trim it up to try to make sure that I keep that great leaf shape that we had going. And beware if you're working with this, definitely put something down because as you can see, it does definitely make a big mess. I think that looks pretty good though. I'm gonna have to clean this all up, but I thought I would go in and kind of patch up any areas where I thought I saw a little bit of baldness. And I want to attach the fall leaf like this, kind of like it's falling down from the sky, kind of a little bit at an angle. And I'm just going to use some hot glue to attach that to the wood round that we already DIY'd. And I think that looks pretty cool. Now it's time to add some seashells, which are my favorite part. Again, I'm going to be using the small seashells from the Dollar Tree, but you could always use, you know, whatever you can find. I really like the ones that I got on Amazon as well. They have a kind of a big variety in different sizes and styles in there. And they even do have some little starfish as well. And I'm just going to start hot gluing these down and making sure that I'm not just gluing it to the moss, that I'm pushing it all the way down against the sign that's underneath of it, because I don't want that to fall off when I hang this on the wall. And I'm just going to scatter the seashells out like you would find them in the seaweed at the beach. And just gluing these all around. As I'm recording this, we are awaiting a hurricane, Hurricane Milton. And I'm really disappointed because starting today, our beaches are closed. And whenever our beaches are closed, it makes me so sad. Definitely wanted to do a coastal video for y'all today. And I'm really hoping it's not as bad as it looks. Now for the border of it, I always like to border out the Dollar Tree signs to make them a little bit thicker. because they are kind of thin. And a fun way to frame those out is to just use some Dollar Tree rope. And this is going to go with the coastal vibe of the sign as well. So just using some hot glue, we're going to glue a rope border on here by just simply wrapping this package of rope all the way around. It doesn't really matter which size you use. My Dollar Trees are all consistent, either, or kind of inconsistent. They either have like the thinner one like this or they have the thicker one. I always try to grab rope whenever I see it, this one and the nautical rope from Dollar Tree, because I'd rather have a stockpile of it in my stash than have to be searching for it all the time because I use it so often to craft with. I just made my beginning and end there at the bottom. It's kind of seamless. You can't really tell where it starts and stops. And that color of rope looks really good combined with that Spanish moss. This is how it turned out. I think it's really fun, coastal DIY. Definitely looks beachy. With the Spanish moss and the seashells, we added a few of the little Amazon starfish in there as well. And I love that minty green color for the background. It goes great with all my coastal decor. I try to use the light blue and this minty green, like kind of sea foam together. For the next DIY, I wanted to try one of these gather signs. These are the gather wood signs from the Dollar Tree. I thought we could make something fun with it. And I just needed a sign that was about the right size to display it. I found this one at Goodwill for like half price, so it was little to nothing, but it was the perfect size for this. You could use any of the Dollar Tree like wood blank signs that they have that's a rectangle as well. You might be able to get that to fit as well. This one is kind of unique that it has like a sign here in the back. It also has like a little bump out part on the front. So I thought I would take advantage of that, kind of make them a little bit different. And then we can DIY that gather word, which is great for fall. It's great to go into Thanksgiving. And I'm just using this light blue. I believe this is Cloudless. A very light beachy blue. And I'm just doing the back of my little thrifted sign in that color. And then what I want to do is cover like the Happy Easter part of it with some burlap to give me a fun coastal background to DIY the gather word. And the little touch of blue I think makes it really coastal. Now I don't want you to be able to see the Happy Easter stuff that was going on. If you find off-season signs like this at Goodwill, you can often get a really good deal on them. So I'm just going over it with ivory. You could use white as well. I'm just trying to give kind of a blank canvas to go behind it. And I think that looks really good. I want to cover that back part with the burlap once it's completely dry, but I can go ahead and start working on the gather. They have these in a couple different words. I think they have home and stuff like that. I thought gather would be great for fall. They're just little wood houses that have like the letters cut out of them. So really cool. They are made out of wood. If you wanted to stain them, I think that would look really pretty too. Since I already have like the brown background with the burlap, I just wanted something really soft and neutral. So I'm just using an ivory acrylic and a makeup sponge, and I am just painting them. I find the makeup sponge works really well for this. You're not going to get a lot of pooling of the paint in between the letters or anything like that. And you don't waste any paint either because you just kind of use what you need. But it's not much of a change in color than they already were. I guess you could leave them like a natural wood too if you wanted to. But that looks pretty good. Now the Dollar Tree burlap, I love it, but it does come in a roll like this. It can be a little bit tricky to work with if you're covering something with a flat surface like this and you don't want those wrinkles in it. So the first thing I'm going to do is just give mine a quick iron. Sometimes I even use some of the Dollar Tree spray starch. I find that that helps keep it stiff and flat, which is exactly what I'm going for with this. So just using my Cricut Easy Press to give this an iron so that I'll be able to use this piece of burlap without any of the seams. Now I just need to kind of cut out a piece of the burlap that's going to be the right length. And you just kind of pull a strand and then you can get a perfect little lane to cut out your burlap. I decided to use this part of the burlap because even with the ironing, this was probably the flattest part, but pulling the string method on that works so well. I used it for all four corners and I'm just measuring because I had measured my sign so I know exactly how big of a piece of burlap to prepare for it. And I want this to be just the background. I want the blue to kind of peek out from the sides like that. So I'm just going to go ahead and attach that, just making sure that I had it even. I did notice I needed to shorten it just a little bit. And so I just pulled another thread, trimmed it up, and now we can go ahead and attach this. I love the burlap background. I think it's going to look really coastal and fun behind those gather houses. And I just do a coat of Mod Podge. I get those little bottles of Mod Podge at the Dollar Tree too. They have all different kinds. They even have the dishwasher safe one there now, which I was pleased to find because you can make stuff waterproof. Now for the sign itself, I just need to replace what was already on there. So I just use some twine, pull it through from the back and knot it together. And then I can go ahead and attach my little gather houses to the front of it. I am going to just center them on there. It is almost a perfect fit. That's why I chose this sign. And I like the fact that all the little houses are different sizes. I'm just going to use some hot glue and glue those down to the burlap to finish the sign. I've been curious to try these little house signs like this from the Dollar Tree, and this is just a fun way that you could use them. I'm trying to think of other uses. Maybe you could use them on like a wreath or something like that too, where you could kind of have them arched a little bit. That would be cute too. That looks pretty good. Now I wanted to decorate them a little further. I thought it looked a little bit plain. And so to do that, I'm going to use some of the fall ribbons and the pumpkins. They have these like orange, they have like blue and white ones, which are perfect for this color scheme. So I'm just cutting out a pumpkin for each house to decorate it with. And all you have to do is peel and stick these and then rub them on. I love using these. I find that popsicle sticks work really well for these. Sometimes you can even just kind of get in there with your fingernail and scrape those on. Just make sure they're all down before you pull it off like that. Because otherwise you're going to have to go in and repair it. I had another pumpkin the same size, so I repaired mine. So always kind of peel it off, check. If it's good, then you can peel it off all the way. Otherwise, just lay it back down and you can just scrape it all on. But a really easy way to personalize these a little bit better. Now I did have a little bit of dead space on some of these houses still, especially some of the taller ones. And so I also went in with some of the leaves that were on here to fill that in a little bit more. And again, just scrape and peel the stickers off. Now I like it. I want to rough it up a little bit just to kind of make it look like it's more piece of the house. And so I do that with a little sandpaper and a little light distressing, kind of giving it that coastal farmhouse vibe. Just a little bit of ivory and a dry brush. Now I like it. I think it's really cute at this point, and you could leave it like that, but I had all that area up above the houses that I thought I could probably add another detail to. And I found these really cute burlap flowers and leaves from the Dollar Tree. And I thought they would be a fun addition. I mean, you can always use flowers for fall too. And so just kind of picking out which ones would look good to fill in this area. And I'm just going to attach those to the top of our sign. I kind of like the white burlap, the contrast against the brown burlap. I thought that would be cute. And then having some like leaves blowing in the air like that. I'm going to attach this one with some hot glue. And the other ones, I thought it would be better to attach them with some Mod Podge so you can't see the hot glue through them because they're just one layer of burlap. And that Ryobi hot glue gun that you see me using there, I tried 2 of those to replace my like larger one. And I had to send them both back because they were very defective. So I don't really recommend those. I do recommend the big one that I normally use though. This is how it turned out. My little fall gather sign, it's got just a few coastal touches with a little bit of blue and burlap and some fun colors. And of course it spells gather, which is a great saying, I think, for fall. I really love the pop of blue behind it. Now for the next fall DIY, I want to use one of the Dollar Tree wooden pumpkins and 2 of their wood shelves and 1 of their little hand towels. I thought I could try to do a textured pumpkin that I could stuff, kind of make a 3D pumpkin wall hanging, and I love how this one turned out. So I really enjoy making signs out of these Dollar Tree wood signs. They're nice and thick. You can paint or stain them beautifully, and you can put as many of these together as you want to make whatever size sign you want, and you don't have to worry about the thin Dollar Tree signs at all. So I'm going to do 2 of them. I think that's going to make the perfect like rectangular background for the sign. And I want a lot of texture on the sign. We're going to be using the little hand towel, but I also want a texture on the back. So I'm going to try covering it with some of the faux leather from Dollar Tree and ivory. I'm definitely going to go with my color scheme. So I just kind of line up my shelf on the back of the faux leather, and you can just draw on it. You can sketch it out exactly whatever size you need. And I'm going to do that with both of them. So I can have 2 like faux leather panels to go on the background instead of the wood slats. Just another fun way to add another texture to this. So I'm just going to try these on for size. I was trying to think of the best way to attach them. I've had luck hot gluing them sometimes, but sometimes they leave ridges. So I decided to Mod Podge. I did a nice thick layer all over of the Mod Podge, and that worked really well with no visible bumps or anything like that to my leather sign. And it also covers the holes there in the shelf as well. So that's kind of a win-win. I will have to poke some of them back in there to make it a hanging sign. And then I'm just going to glue the 2 signs together by doing a bead of hot glue along one of the signs and just simply putting them together. They actually go together really well, and usually don't have to brace them or anything else like that. Now this is the pumpkin I wanted to DIY. It's just the plain wood pumpkin from Dollar Tree, and I think it's going to be the perfect size for that. But what I want to do, I want to try adding some texture by using one of the handhelds from the Dollar Tree. So this is like the mint green color, so I think it's going to look great for coastal, but you could do this with like any kind of color that you could find there. And I also want to kind of try to stuff it to make it even more interesting. So I'm going to lay my wood pumpkin there on top of my hand towel and kind of sketch out a little bit wider with my Sharpie exactly how much fabric I'm going to need to cut out. I think it's going to be easier to cut it now than after I try to attach it to the wooden pumpkin. So I just cut all around. I don't worry about a pumpkin stem or anything like that because I'll do something else for that. But I really love this color. It reminds me of like that sea foam blue color. And I'm just trying it on before I actually glue it on to make sure this is going to work. And I think it is. So to stuff it, I'm going to kind of do one section at a time. So I'm going to start over here by doing a bead of hot glue on the left, kind of like the shape of a C, and just glue all of the edges down of the pumpkin. And now for the fluff, I'm actually going to use the fluff from an old pillow. I always find that it's just way cheaper to do that, to save your old pillows, than to actually go buy the polyfill. But they do have polyfill at the Dollar Tree now, which I was surprised to find. And so that looks pretty good. I can go ahead and glue this section down. So I start right there at that indentation and kind of arch up my hot glue and to seal all that plush in there, and kind of gonna make ridges in the pumpkin. That looks pretty good. I've got all the fluff sealed in there. So now I can do the middle section the same way. I just put an amount of fluff in there that I think is going to be enough to fill it out. I did the bottom and then the top. And then I'm going to have to do that like arched shape again for this line of the pumpkin to seal that in. And that gave me the middle section. I go ahead and start on the right one just so I can make a little pocket like that I can add more pillow fluff. And then I go back and fill it all in, sealing it with the hot glue. Really fun, easy way to make a textured stuffed pillow like this without any sewing. Now the pumpkin stem, I wanted to do something a little different than the fabric. So I'm just going to use some Dollar Tree twine, and I'm going to simply start there at the base and hot glue it and then wrap that around the pumpkin stem. We're going to be adding lots of other fun details to this pumpkin too, to really bring out its shape and to add just so much texture and fun to this project. When you get to the end, it gets a little bit tricky. You have to use a little bit of hot glue to make sure it stays on there. And then you kind of have to go back and fill this section in right here, but nothing too crazy. So that looks pretty good. I'm going to go ahead and glue down my last piece. And this is what it's going to go on our leather sign. So I want this to be a hanging sign, so I do go in with my little Cricut weeder and just poke some holes in the faux leather where the holes in the sign already were so that I can go ahead and make a hanger. I went ahead and used like a large needle to thread this through because I was having a little bit of trouble getting it to go through there. Another thing you can do is to put some hot glue on the end of it. It makes it a little easier to feed through. But I always like to knot my Dollar Tree signs on the front. I find that they hang really nicely. And then our little towel pumpkin is going to go here on the front. I just put hot glue all over the back and attach that to the leather, making sure it's firmly attached because I wasn't too sure about the hot glue and the faux leather, but it seemed to do pretty good. Now I also want to accent it with some other fun trim. So I thought I could do this middle section here between the stuffing with some of the Dollar Tree's burlap trim. These come in a 3-pack that has like 3 different styles. I kind of equally love all of them. I think they're so fun for crafting. You could also use the one that comes on a roll that has like white in it. That would be pretty too. But I like this because it lays flat. It's bringing that brown in from the pumpkin stem and kind of tying it all together. Then I thought I would go in with some Dollar Tree brown rope for the edges. I like the way that looks, and that's going to match really well too. So this is the thinner brown rope. I just go ahead and cut the tape off the end, and I'm going to start right here at my pumpkin stem. Perfect place to start and stop. And I'm going to hot glue that. What that's going to do is frame out the shape of my pumpkin, really make that pumpkin shape pop against that white faux leather. And it also helps glue it to it. So I'm just putting a glue right in the seam where the pumpkin and the sign come together. And then I add the hot rope to it, and it's going to help tie it all together. I'm really glad that I added this last step because it really gives you a defined edge for this pumpkin, and it provides even more texture. So I go all the way around, hot gluing it to the top. That looks really good. Now I do want it to be coastal. This is what it looks like with a Dollar Tree starfish. I actually had some real starfish from my stash that I got on Amazon, so I decided to use a real one, but I think it would look better or good either way. They're about the same size. This one is just a little bit more authentic looking with the coloring and stuff like that. You can always paint the Dollar Tree ones as well though. I just hot glue it right in the center of my coastal pumpkin, and then I want to use some of this mesh ribbon from the Dollar Tree to make a really pretty decorative bow here from the top that's, not too busy. I love using this for coastal crafting because I think it reminds me a little bit of fishnet. So I chose like this ivory color, and I took 2 pieces for like 2 pieces of tails, and I actually tied them together with a little bit of twine so they will come down like that on each side of the pumpkin stem. And I also want to decorate it with some seashells. So I'm going to use some mini seashells from the Dollar Tree and just add a few of those to the pumpkin stem. I glue down my ribbon and then glue down my seashells. And I really love how this turned out. Who would have thought you could make a beautiful coastal fall pumpkin like this out of a Dollar Tree hand towel? I'm always going up and down the aisles at Dollar Tree trying to find fun, interesting materials to craft with. And this was definitely one of them. And I'm so glad that I decided to stuff it because it really gives it a fun 3D feel. And the fabric, I think, actually looks pretty cool on this. Here's a little close-up view of our coastal towel pumpkin. I'm glad that I used the burlap trim for the middle sections, but I think that would also be cute with brown rope as well. Now for the next DIY, I wanted to make a fun fall sign, so I picked up 4 of these Dollar Tree signs. These are wood with like a little section on the front. It doesn't really matter what signs you use as long as you get 4 the same size. And I'm going to cover it with my favorite removable wallpaper from the Dollar Tree in this palm leaf design. Sadly, since I made this, they've discontinued this one and I can't find it anywhere. And since they're not selling it anymore, I've actually scanned in a copy of this design that I will link in the description if you want to print it out as a free printable so you can recreate, or you can use any of their new styles. They have are really pretty too. But I love this one because it's great for coastal, right? So I just cut one down and I'm going to cut the next one next to it, right next to it. So the pattern continues, if you know what I mean. And I'm going to do that with the third sign and the fourth sign. What I want to do is spell out the word fall with these signs and make a really cute set of signs that all spell out the word fall. And if you want to use this design, you could just print it out and Mod Podge it over. You might have to paint over the signs that are underneath of it to make sure that it doesn't go through. I was trying to decide if you're going to be able to see it through. And since this is removable, I was able to peel it back and actually go ahead and paint mine. I didn't think you'd be able to see through it, but you could see the wording through there a little bit. That black on white writing is really kind of strong. So I just go over all of them with a couple of coats of ivory chalk paint to give me a blank canvas. But I love the little wood sign that was already on the background. And then I'm going to try again. I was able to use that same piece. And I really wish they would bring this pattern back. Definitely my favorite. I have stockpiled this pattern though. So I do have a lot of them because I really love this. I've used it for Christmas DIYs, I've used it for fall DIYs, and of course beach DIYs. Once I get it on there, I just go ahead and sand the edges, making sure that I don't have any paper coming over the sides of it. And I'm going to make my letters with actually popsicle sticks. These are not the tiny popsicle sticks from the Dollar Tree. I actually got these at Walmart. They're maybe jumbo. They're not like the super jumbo or anything like that. And I'm just going to cut them down to spell out the word fall. The word fall is really easy to do with these little straight sticks like this. It's just a matter of cutting them down to appropriate sizes. I cut part of the L down the same size as the F, so my letters would all be the same size. I do another one for the other L, and then cut little sections here for this part of it as well. I need the F and the L, and then those are the ones, super jumbo. I did show you, good. And then for the A, I thought I would do something different for fun and something coastal. I decided to use one of the little starfish with starfish ornaments from the Shore Living line at Dollar Tree. Now, you could always spell out the letter A with popsicle sticks too if you didn't have a different shape ornament, or you could even use a fall leaf for this as well. I wanted coastal, so I thought the starfish would be a fun touch. I am just painting them with some ivory acrylic, all of my letters, before I go ahead and attach them to my fall sign, including the little starfish. Now that they're all painted and dry, I can go ahead and start putting this together. I have that giant Band-Aid on my finger from, of course, a crafting injury. Gotta be careful out there, guys. If it's not the hot glue, it's the scissors. So I'm gonna go ahead and hot glue these all in place, kind of lining these up together so I can center them a little bit better since those are the actual letters. And we're gonna spell out the word fall. The starfish had a little hole in the top that I didn't patch, but I'm actually going to tie a little twine in a simple bow and kind of try to make it decorative and like it was supposed to be there. So I just glue a little hot glue there to cover that up. And there was also like a circle pattern on the starfish that I thought kind of got blended away when I painted over it. So I just went back over it with my bronze Sharpie and drew those back on. Looking really cool. I did go back and kind of dry brush a little bit of ivory on top of it just to make it look a little bit more distressed. And I really love how this fall sign turned out. It was so easy to make. And remember that trick about using popsicle sticks to make letters? You can make most letters with them and save a lot of money versus buying the pre-made letters. And see how cool they look? I like the fact that they actually even have joints and stuff in them. I think it looks pretty cool. Now for the next DIY, I thought we could do like a thankful project for Thanksgiving, but with a coastal fall vibe. I'm going to take one of the Shore Living plastic dishes. I love these, the seashell ones. I have a stockpile of these. I love them. I didn't see them this year at Dollar Tree, but they've had them every other year. I hope they bring them back again because they're really fun to craft with. I'm going to combine that with a Dollar Tree candlestick in light beachy blue. And I want to make a little thankful project using seashells. So the first thing I'm going to do is paint this with like an ivory color here on the back. As you can see, it's like a cheap plastic, but it's also like an iridescent on the back. And I want to make it look kind of like a real seashell. And that's one thing I love to do with these. You can see it still has that great texture after I painted ivory. Just going to touch this up a little bit more to make sure that I don't have any spots of the plastic shining through on my final shell. Then I also want to go in and add some texture. So I'm going to go in with some Antique Wax by Waverly, and I'm just dragging that over the lines of the seashell so I can bring out all that texture. And I can always go back and kind of wipe off the excess if I get too much on there. But I really just kind of wanted a distressed look and kind of just blend it all in just like that. Now, since I did paint on plastic, you have to kind of be careful as with your baby wipe when you're wiping that off, because sometimes you can take all the paint off too, but that's okay. I just went in with like my original color and touched it up a little bit more. Now that looks pretty good. This is what the inside of my shell looks like at this point. It's like iridescent, and I like it because I think that makes it look like a seashell. I was trying to decide though if I could tone down the plastic look a little bit. And so to do that, I'm just going to go all over with some matte Mod Podge just to try to take the plastic element of it away, make it look more like a shell. But I still got a great iridescent color out of it once this was dry, but a little bit more of a matte finish, which is what I was going for. I want to use this to make a tray by putting it on the Dollar Tree candlestick to hold thankful seashells. I thought that would be a fun thing to start for Thanksgiving and have for fall in my home. This is how my seashell looks right now. I love it. And now since I'm gluing it to the ceramic candle holder and I do want it to be durable, I'm going to use some E6000 just to make sure that it holds properly. And I'm just going to add some right here around the edge of the candle holder at the highest point. And then simply sit my shell on there. But I'm also going to add some hot glue to the middle section for some fast hold until the E6000 has some time to set up. Makes the perfect tray. One reason why I love these. So Dollar Tree, come on, bring back the shell plates. I don't know, maybe I just missed them this year. Everybody was in such a mad rush to buy it all. And so I'm just going to set that aside and let that dry, and we can start with seashells. These are just some seashells that I have from the beach. They're nothing special. They're kind of like all bleached out ones, which are perfect for this. And so I'm just going to go in and clean them up. Make sure they don't have any debris on them, and I have enough to fill up my giant seashell with smaller ones. This is the color that I go in to paint them. It is Cloudless by Apple Barrel. I love this color. I think it looks really coastal, but of course you could do this with any color that you like. I'm just going to go in and paint them one by one, making sure that I get kind of into the grooves on all of those to make them look like blue seashells. It's just going to add a pop of color to this project and fun, because who doesn't love a blue seashell? That would be fun, right? Once I get them all painted, I'm going to kind of start the thing by putting things that I'm thankful for inside the seashells, and then encourage other people to add to it as the fall season goes on. Kind of like a thankful tree, but with seashells. So once I got them all painted, I decided to kind of touch up the other side just a little bit, just to make them look a little bit more finished. I am going to leave the inside white, which I think is crucial to be able to write on them properly and be able to see a good contrast. But I did want to go in and kind of just touch up all of the edges as well. And to do that, I'm actually going to use a Sharpie. I do think that some sand would be nice though. So I fill in the giant seashell with a little Dollar Tree tan sand first. So I have something to sit the seashells down into. And I'm going to use my blue Sharpie to start adding things that I am thankful for inside of here. So I was trying to think of some fun words to get us started. So, things like family, of course, and different things that I thought of right away. But I'm only doing it to, get us started so that other people can go ahead and add their favorite things that they're thankful for as well. I did some kind of generic things, but things that were special to me, like my family, the beach, my house, food, of course, love. The rest of them I'm going to kind of scatter in here. You can kind of do them face down like that because they haven't been filled out yet. It's going to add some color. You could add as many as you want to this project, but a fun coastal fall project that's perfect for Thanksgiving. I'm going to display mine with the blue Sharpie, and so other people can add their thankful shells to it as the season continues. This would also be really cute to have for Thanksgiving Day, and everyone can fill one out. I am not thankful for this hurricane that's getting ready to hit. I just had to go get all the hurricane shutters out from the garage for my husband when he gets home from work. And oh my goodness, exhausted, but we're going to be boarded up and safe for the hurricane that is hitting tomorrow night. Hey guys, are you enjoying today's video? If you are, be sure to hit that like button. It always helps my videos do better here on YouTube. Now for the next DIY, I wanted to make a fun cutting board tray for fall. So I picked up 2 of the fall signs that look like cutting boards, and I thought I could pair them together to make a thick, chunky little cutting board out of these since they're kind of thin. And I can cover them with something fun too. I thought I would use some of this palm leaf removable wallpaper from the Dollar Tree, which sadly isn't available. If you want to try to recreate, I have the printable in the description of today's video, but I'm not sure if you'd be able to print it large enough for this big size like this, but you could always use one of the other styles as well. It's a great way to cover one of the Dollar Tree pre-made signs like that and make it look a lot better. And I just sketched mine out on the back of the removable wallpaper and go ahead and start cutting it out first. It's going to make it easier to cover this. Has a round hanger, and there'll also be like a little hole section there too that I'll have to cut out to have the hole for the top of the cutting board, the handle. So I'm just going to peel and stick this to the back of it just so I don't have to deal with any glitter, any bumpiness, or having to remove any of that. And I can sandwich all of the glitter and design they had on there in between the 2 signs because I'm going to put them together to make a chunkier sign. So I went ahead and made sure that that was sealed really well. I love the removable wallpaper. It's so easy to use. If you get it on there a little bit crooked and you have a little bit of paper hanging over, a sanding sponge from the Dollar Tree works perfect to give you that perfect cut. And that looks good. We can start working on the bottom piece. Now to make it super chunky, I'm going to use some of the Dollar Tree wood beads. These are the cube shape, and these are perfect because these are going to lay flat. And I'm going to go all the way around the edges. So I want to be able to kind of move these around, but I do want to leave them strung together. So I start right here at the handle. After untying the first one, I'm going to start hot gluing them on. The fact that they're all strung together helps keep it all together, but it's also still flexible enough to go around different shapes like this. And so I just kind of hot glue one section here at a time, and I'm going to fill in all the way around the edges of this is the bottom part of the tray. And then I'll put the one that we just covered with the wallpaper on top of it. It's going to make a nice, thick, chunky tray that looks like a cutting board. That's how far one strand of the wood cube garland got me. So I go ahead and untie the first one on this one, tie it to that one, and continue that pattern, trying to work myself all the way around. Now you could use the round wood beads for this too if that's all you can find. I have done that before on my like watermelon tier trays and it turned out pretty cute too, but I really enjoyed the cube shape for this one. I needed a few more here to finish it off and I string those together, tying it all together and attaching everything with hot glue. I decided to add a few more to the middle just to make sure I don't have any bowing and that my signs go together nicely. I have something to glue it to right there. So this sign is going to go right on top like that and kind of sandwich everything in. Now I did want to paint it too. I don't want to leave it just the natural wood. So I'm going in with some ivory and I am just going to paint all of my wood beads that you would be able to see from the outside. So not all the way around, just the ones here on the side and the edge of the sign itself of the cutting board. And I think that looks really good. Now, if you liked it in the natural wood, you could leave it that color as well. I'm also going to go ahead and paint the bottom of it with the ivory just to kind of have more of a finished look. Since it's going to be a tray that I'm going to be able to move around, I didn't want it to have a bottom that was a little bit messy. Now I also go around the edge of my top cutting board sign too, just to make that all kind of blend together and you won't be able to see like any of just the brown unfinished wood that was on the side of this. So I just kind of go around and paint the edge all the way around the cutting board before I go ahead and put this together. So now that I'm happy with the colors, I have to act quickly because I need to do this all in one step. So I do hot glue on top of all of the wood beads and then put the other cutting board on there as quickly as I can before my hot glue has a chance to seal up. Sandwiching that in, also pushing there in the middle so it seals that part so I don't have any bowing again. And I have this nice chunky cutting board and I love it with the tropical leaf pattern on there. I think that's so cool. Now I do want it to be a tray though, so I'm going to need to add legs. So to do that, I'm going to use some of the Dollar Tree mini Jenga blocks. I chose a total of 8 of them to make 4 legs. I'm just going to glue 2 of them together to make a little bit more of a solid leg than just one. And I just hot glue them to each other back to back, just like this. And I think 4 legs is going to be perfect for this tray. Once I got them glued together, I also go over them with some ivory acrylic paint as well, so they will blend into the sides and the bottom of my tray. And I'm also going to be doing lots of DIYs to decorate this tray for fall, and I'll show you how I styled it all as well. I just attach this to the bottom corner there. I go in a little bit from both sides and just attach this with hot glue. And this is going to make it a tray, raise it off the ground, and make it a really cute display piece. Now, the great thing about this too is that I did not make this seasonal, so you could use this palm leaf tray for any season. Because of course I like to bring coastal into every season. I get all 4 on there and I'm loving how this looks so far. It's really cute. There's just one area left to do, and that's this whole area here where there is the hole in both of the cutting board signs. I do need to cut that out. So I just go in there with my razor blade, cut that out, and then try to cut off any excess material and try to get the cleanest cut that I can. If you do have a few pieces, you can kind of tuck those inside. I just wanted to be able to add like a little rope there. I thought that would be cute, like a little cutting board hanger. So I go in there with some Dollar Tree rope and I just string that through and double knot it to make it like a hanger for a cutting board. It's going to give it another fun little coastal touch, and it can kind of just lay off to the side like that. Isn't that so pretty? I love that design. And it turned out really cute, just using a couple of signs from the Dollar Tree. Now, the first DIY I'm going to make for it is a burlap leaf DIY, and really easy using one of these metal signs from the Dollar Tree. Now, sometimes it's easier than not to pull these off, but this one was pretty easy. So I just pulled the metal sign off, and now I have a great display stand that I can use for one of these Dollar Tree burlap leaves. These are, I guess, the oak leaves, and the burlap is going to go perfect for my coastal fall. I'm just going to go in and remove the wire off of the back of it, just because I don't really need it. And then I can put hot glue right where that was at and glue that to this piece right here. I didn't want you to be able to see the brown part through the front, so I glued it to the white side of the sign, and we have our first DIY for that tray, a simple burlap leaf, which looks so cute. And it was so easy to do. Now for the next DIY, I have a Dollar Tree sign that I actually used the flamingo for something else on there, but that's okay because I'm going to remake it with a Dollar Tree window decal. Using Dollar Tree window decals are a great way to DIY your own sign. You don't have to use your printer. You don't have to use your Cricut machine. You can just use some items from the Dollar Tree to make a fun sign. I just popped this sign out and we're going to decorate the back of it, which is going to make it even easier. I have just this plain kind of faux wood surface on the back, and I just go in and paint mine ivory to kind of go with my color scheme for these coastal fall DIYs, and until I have good coverage. This is going to give me a great background for that window decal. I also don't want you to be able to see the flamingo sign that was on the back, and especially since it's going to be on a tray. So I just cover it with some of the cheap contact paper from the Dollar Tree that looks a little bit like wood. I cut it a little bit bigger than I need and then just use a sanding block to give myself a perfect cut all the way around. And it's just going to make the back of the piece look so much better. Once I get that done, now I can go in and attach my window decal. I'm going to put down a coat of Mod Podge all over my sign. And then I'm using this pumpkin sign here that says, "Leaves are falling, autumn is calling." It's got that perfect color of like light greenish blue. That's going to go so well with today's DIYs. I just make sure that it is good and smooth and I don't have any bumps in there. But a really cute little sign. I also go in and Mod Podge over the top of it, sealing it in, making sure that the window decal doesn't go anywhere. And it also takes away a little bit of the shininess from the sign itself. But a quick distress with a little bit of that ivory that we used before is going to help it look more, hand painted, part of the sign. So I just go ahead and distress that just a little bit. And then I had the frame for this sign, so I'm just going to go ahead and pop it back together. I put a little hot glue inside the lip and put my sign back in. So I DIY'd the back of it, so the front of it is actually underneath that contact paper. And it's a standing sign that I think is going to be just the perfect size for that fall tray and definitely goes well with the theme. Isn't that so cute? I love it. And these DIYs to style the tray are really fun. The next one, I want to make a sand pumpkin for the tray. So I picked up a Dollar Tree pumpkin. I didn't really care what kind. This is like one of the velour ones. I'm going to remove the velour. I just liked the size of the pumpkin and I liked the curly pumpkin stem on this. So I just go ahead and remove that pumpkin stem and carefully remove all the fabric too. I don't want to mess up the foam pumpkin underneath. Just removing all of the fabric. Now, I've made larger ones of these before, but sand pumpkins are really actually pretty easy to make. I'm going to use some school glue and paint that all over the surface of the pumpkin with just a foam brush. And then we're going to cover it with some of the Dollar Tree sand. Now, you can get school glue at Dollar Tree, but if you get it back to school season, like at Target and stuff like that, you can get it even cheaper. I always try to have some on hand because I like to use it a lot for sand DIYs. So I did the top half of the pumpkin. So I just sprinkle that part with sand. And I did have something down so that I didn't make a big mess with that. And then I'm going to go in and spray some glue on the top to try to keep the sand down a little bit. And add a little bit more sand to make sure I have good coverage from what had fallen off on my mat before. That looks pretty good. We can go ahead and start on the other side as well. Just adding school glue and sand until I have pretty good coverage. The fact that it's a white pumpkin helps as well because you're not trying to cover up any color or anything like that. This is the fun, messy part, sprinkling all the sand on there. And I want to make sure I fill in the top part as well. I really like the aerosol spray glue, but sometimes I have trouble finding it at the Dollar Tree for the top coat of glue, but I just sprayed it again, added more of the sand until I have good coverage. Then I can go in and reattach the pumpkin stem. I love it because it's like all gnarled and everything, but I thought a light distress of ivory would bring out that even better. So I just add that to it, brings out all that texture, and just kind of wipe off the excess. Isn't that a cute little pumpkin stem? And now I can just go ahead and attach that. I'm going to glue it on to make sure it stays put right here in the center of my sand pumpkin. And we have another fun fall DIY to display on that tray that we DIY'd. Let me show you how it looks with some of the other DIYs we've done so far. And I'm going to show you how I styled the entire cabinet. This is the next item I found. I actually got this one at Target Dollar Spot for $3, but I've seen similar acorns like this at the Dollar Tree. One thing I liked about this is that it was already kind of white and tan, my color scheme, but I thought I could make it even better. I thought it was a little too white and glossy, this part of the acorn, and so of course I'm going to paint it anyway. I painted ivory so it goes with the ivory color that we've used on the other DIYs that we made for this fall tray, and I display it right here in front of that little fall leaf. Really easy to do, and this tray is coming together really well. I also wanted to add a Dollar Tree sand dollar. This is one of the sand dollars from the Shore Living line at Dollar Tree. Sometimes they have a little bit of a gray tinge, so I'm actually going to paint this too with some more of the ivory, so that goes with my light beachy blue and ivory color scheme for this tray. And I'm just going to stand this up on the tray here for a little coastal touch. Now I also want to style like around the tray, so I have a few other DIYs here as well as finds. I found this actually at Goodwill, and I thought this would be perfect. I really don't even know what to call this. It's like a little broom, some kind of sweeper. I know it has a name, but I can't think of it. But I liked it for fall. I thought it looked really cute, so I just kind of trimmed up any fibers there that I didn't like, and I'm going to be able to stand this up next to that fall tray, and it gave such a fun little touch. Now, the next item that I'm going to use for that cabinet display is one of these seagrass pumpkins that I also found at the Target Dollar Spot for $3. It's like these little tiny ones they have at Dollar Tree, but I think it looks a lot better. If you can't find it, you could always use one of these ones from the Dollar Tree, but I suggest replacing the stem on them because the one that's on there I think really makes them look like apples and not so much pumpkins. So I'm going to use that to style the tray as well, sitting that right here to the side. One more DIY for this shelf and it's going to be complete. I thought we could do a little fall vase. I found this great vase at Dollar Tree. It's got the glass bumps all over it. And I thought it looked a little bit coastal, something like an urchin. So I picked that up. I also picked up some greenery from the Target Dollar Spot that the colors are perfect. It's like that minty green leaf with ivory. So I thought that would look really cute too for this color scheme for this coastal fall tray. Now, instead of leaving it glass, I just painted mine all over with some ivory chalk paint for really good coverage to make it look like a ceramic vase rather than glass. Just makes it, I think, look a little bit more high end. There are lots of little bumps all over it, so I did make sure that I got pretty good coverage. And the greenery I'm going to use are these. Now, I'm sure you could find some good ones at the Dollar Tree as well that would go into that vase, but I thought these were perfect. And Target Dollar Spot can be a good source to find some cool stuff like this. I'm going to go ahead and trim them a little bit just because they were a little bit longer than I wanted for that vase. And I think I'm going to use like, let's see. I'm going to try to fill it up. It's not too big of a vase, so maybe 2 of the green leaves and 2 of the like ivory palms like that, kind of alternating how they stick up. And this is going to be the perfect last piece to fill that section of my cabinet for the coastal fall theme. The coastal was just tiny pieces like the blues and the sand dollar and the palm leaf on the tray. But I love how it all came together. So let me show you how that looks. When you pick a color scheme like this to do all of your DIYs, you can really make them go together really nicely. And of course, the little subtle touches of coastal, I always really enjoy. Isn't that so pretty? I love it. Now for the next sign, I'm making it for the same cabinet. I'm going to try to do the same kind of color scheme using that mint green color and wood. I want to do a square sign. I have this one I had left over from Christmas. Doesn't really matter what it is. I just wanted a square sign. And you could always use a blank sign from the Dollar Tree as well. I'm not going to be using this gnome one, so I thought this one would be perfect. And I'm just going to DIY the back of it. And just remove the hanger and the staples back here to give me a, flat plain surface. And I just go ahead and clean up some of the paper from the sides of it as well. I want to make this a standing sign, and so there's a couple steps that I had to do to make it look like a board sign. The first thing I'm going to do is just paint it with some ivory paint just to cover up that wood and give me a nice background to be able to add that fabric to. Mainly I wanted the edges to be ivory, but I decided to go ahead and paint the entire thing to make it look a little bit better. And then I'm going to cover the glitter and all the stuff going on the back of the sign with just some of that wood contact paper, just to make the back of it look better, because you will, be able to see that if you were to pick it up. So I just cut the piece bigger than I need and just use sandpaper to give myself the perfect cut all the way around. And I am going to make this a standing sign, so I'm going to be boxing it in as well. But I'm going to go ahead and start putting it together first. So it is a little warped. Since my paint was pretty new on there, I was able to kind of bend it back in place. And this is a Dollar Tree placemat in that beautiful like mint green color. And it's the perfect size to cover this size sign. So I just kind of line it up here in the corner to see exactly how big I need it and just trim it down to size. And I love crafting with these Dollar Tree placemats like this. They are great textures. They're a nice heavy duty material that look great on DIYs. I'm going to attach mine with Mod Podge, so I just do a kind of a medium coat of Mod Podge all over. This is a little bit heavier material, and I want to make sure that it stays stuck on there. And then I just glue it into place. I don't mind the like ivory edges around the sides. I was kind of trying to anticipate that, which is why I painted it first. So this is what it looks like so far. This is going to make the perfect background for one of the Dollar Tree wood leaves. Now, if you look at these at the store, sometimes you can find them like this with the beautiful like wood grain already in it, which is just going to save you some steps because you don't really have to stain it or anything. I love it like this. I think it looks perfect like that. So I'm going to have my leaf be like upright like this, but kind of off to the side a little bit. So I just put some hot glue on the back and attach that at the angle. It does have a hole in the top where the leaf was being hung before, but I can always disguise that easy enough. And I like to do that usually using just some twine and a bow up there. And then you don't have to worry about filling that in. Since I did have a little bit of bowing there on my sign, I also had to make sure that it was all glued down. And layering the two signs together always kind of straightens it out a little bit. Now it's time to make it into a box sign. I have 4 pieces of the Dollar Tree craft wood, and I'm going to use one for each side, and I'll show you how I put it all together to make a really durable sign out of just this thin Dollar Tree sign. So I have 4 pieces. I'm going to go ahead and paint them before I attach them. I thought that would make it a little bit easier, and I'm just using ivory. paint. You could always stain these as well because it has a great wood grain. I want it to look a little bit like driftwood, so I don't mind some of the wood coming through. I just wanted a little bit of ivory distressed on them as well. And so I cut down 2 of the pieces here for the top and bottom, going side to side. And I just attached those to the edge of my sign with hot glue on the end like that. And I do both sides opposite, trying to keep like a 90-degree angle. For the other 2 pieces of craft wood, I cut those down to size where they will fit just inside it like that. Also attaching it with hot glue, and I also use some of the small picture hanging nails from the Dollar Tree to make sure it is super sturdy by just nailing that into the next board. And I'm going to do the same thing over here. And it made it a really nice, durable sign. And it was really easy to do. This is that thinner wood from the Dollar Tree, not the really thick, chunky ones. And it worked perfect for this. So the last step I thought would be a starfish. I was trying to decide between a real one and one of the Dollar Tree ones. Either one would work. I really liked the real one that I got on Amazon, so I'm going to use that. Attach it with a little bit of hot glue to the center of the leaf to really give it that coastal fall vibe, making it kind of go straight up even though the leaf is to the side like that. And this is a really nice large coastal fall sign using just items from the Dollar Tree. Isn't this so pretty? I love the wood grain on the leaf. As you can see, it's got lots of warmth in there and different colors, and I didn't have to distress that part or do anything to it. And anytime I can add like a starfish or something to it, a project, I'm going to love it. If you wanted, you could always wrap the leaf stem there with a little bit of twine too, but since I use the twine at the top for the bow, I think that that is plenty. Hey guys, have you checked out my new website yet? It's craftybeach.net. I'm archiving all my YouTube crafts there so that you can then pin the pictures on Pinterest so you can remember to go back and make them. Now for the next DIY, this one's really simple. I picked up one of these fall pumpkin signs, and it's already got a little bit of a coastal color. I thought if I combine it with one of these light wood long board signs from the Dollar Tree, I can make a really cute sign. Again, Dollar Tree signs are often really thin, so when you can layer the signs, you can make them look a lot better. Now, the one thing I didn't like about these pumpkins is that the letters were all covered in glitter. So the first thing I do is I went over the entire sign with a coat of matte Mod Podge to kind of seal the glitter down. And then what I'm going to do is just go in with a white paint pen and just paint right on top of the glitter. It's going to disguise it. It gives me a template to be able to spell out the word fall on the pumpkins. I do love the fact that the pumpkins are the right colors, like the mint green, the blue with little pops of orange too. And then I go over it with some ivory to really make those letters pop, just using a small paintbrush and using the paint pen part that I did as just kind of a guide and background where to paint that. And in the end, you can't ever tell that these were covered in glitter. And it makes them look a little bit more coastal farmhouse, which was the vibe I was going for with the sign. Just touching them up to make sure that I have good coverage. And then I like things distressed, so I'm going to distress the entire thing with more ivory paint to really give it that coastal farmhouse vibe. And I want it to look a little bit older and less like the printed paper that the Dollar Tree signs can often look like. So I distress them and I wipe off any excess just with a baby wipe, just kind of leaving a little bit of distressing all over. And I like the fact that the sign that I'm going to use for the back of it is that light wood. I think that's going to go well with it. I also thought I could add a little bit more aging with some antique wax by Waverly, distressing that as well. And also sanding it to kind of just rough it up a little bit. Now, I thought that maybe I made my letters a little bit too dark, so I do touch them up with a little bit more ivory. So you might want to do that step before you do your final coat, because you can see it did make them kind of blend into the signs a little bit more, and I really wanted these letters to pop. So I just went over them with another coat, but I'm glad that I distressed them because I think it makes the pumpkins look really cool. Now I wanted to add a few more coastal touches to this as well. So the first thing I'm going to do is just put it together. So it's the perfect length. I just put some hot glue on the back. And it doesn't matter if you have a pumpkin sign like this or not, because it's going to cover the cutout anyway. I just attach it with the hot glue, and it just makes it look so much better again when you layer these signs. I also picked out some of these little chipboard pieces and little sea creatures that I thought would be a fun little touch to add some coastal to it. So there is a seahorse, a seashell, a sea turtle, and a dolphin. And I just distressed them in that same ivory color too, to kind of go with everything else on this side. I'm going to attach one for each pumpkin. So there's 4 pumpkins, so I did 4 of the sea creatures. And you could always do the colored ones like these as well, because you can always just paint them whatever colors you like. Now, once I got that all together, I was trying to decide if I needed one more touch, and I love to frame out Dollar Tree signs with rope because it's going to make them look a little bit thicker and chunkier, and I always like that look. So I thought that would be a nice touch to add to it after the sea creatures. So here on this side, I'm just going to put some hot glue and attach the rope directly to the side. The hot glue does kind of set up quickly, so I only did half of the long side at a time to make sure that it doesn't set up before I get it attached. And this is the thinner white nautical rope from the Dollar Tree. You could probably use either one, but I thought this one looked pretty nice because it just made it a little bit thicker, kind of the thickness of the 2 signs together, so it went together really well. And I'm just going to continue that one piece of rope all the way around until it is framed off here at the bottom. Definitely a quick, easy way to frame any kind of Dollar Tree project, especially a coastal one, is to use rope like this. Very coastal and cute, and I love the colors on this one. As you can see, that aging really distressed each one of the pumpkins, which I like. I know some of you guys don't like distressing that much, so you could always leave yours without the distress. I think it would be really cute too. I love it. I think that's really fun. And I love the little sea creatures. I think those are my favorite part. Now, the next DIY, I wanted to see if I could make a coastal pumpkin using one of the Shore Living hand tiles. So this is the one with like the coral, the starfish, the sand dollars all over. And it's kind of got the white background, but I love it. They seem to have this style every year. They might have a few different varieties of it as well. And I picked up one of the white floral foam pumpkins from the Dollar Tree. And I'm just going to simply wrap the foam pumpkin with the hand towel to give me that design. So I was trying to see about how much fabric I was going to need. Since this is a rectangular shape, I really need more of a square. Otherwise, I'm going to have way too much fabric. So just kind of measuring that out, I'm going to get started to cover this. I just poke a hole right here in the center of the pumpkin, somewhere where I can poke the material down into. And I just start here with my first side. And then I think I can cut off a good third of this material over here. And then I can continue this. So I'm going to pull it tight here on the side. As you can see, that's not quite long enough to go in the hole, but that's okay because it's enough to cover it. So I hot glue that on both sides, and then this time I just go ahead and put the extra fabric inside. I gather up my other corners here. I have a little bit too much fabric, so it's kind of best to trim that off before you go ahead and push this into the center of your foam pumpkin. But it's such an easy way to cover any of these Dollar Tree foam pumpkins with material without a lot of gluing or anything like that. You can just kind of use the tension of the hole there in the styrofoam to hold the fabric taut. So I do that with the other corners as well, just gathering it together, cutting off the excess fabric and placing the rest of it inside. And as you can see, I'm getting a great pumpkin shape out of that, where it's holding the fabric pretty tight. The fact that it's made out of that towel material too made it a little bit stretchy, which made it a little bit easier too. For the pumpkin stem, I'm just going to use a Dollar Tree wood stem. Just trying to pick out one that I think would look really good. You could also use like a little piece of driftwood for this. That would be really cute. Now I'm going to go ahead and use that same hole that we put the fabric in and just twist the wood stem in there. And I think that looks really cute. It was so easy to do. It's got the little coastal touches with the starfish and the sand dollars all over. And I really like the colors on this as well. Now it is really decorative, but I thought we could add a few more coastal touches to make it even more pretty. So I'm going to go ahead and take some Spanish moss and just kind of gather it, make it kind of come off to the side. It kind of gives you a little bit of, the Spanish moss or like a seaweed feel on that. And that makes like a great bedding to add even a little bit more decor to the top, which I always like to decorate the top of my pumpkins, especially my coastal ones. This little starfish I actually got on Amazon. It's one of their little molded ones. You can get them in colors like this too. I have the kinds that I use located in my Amazon shop in the description of today's video if you're interested in getting some of those little starfish like that. But I love that color and I think it's going to go nicely with this pumpkin DIY. It was so easy to make, and you could use any kind of the kitchen towels like that you could find. But since I was going for a coastal theme on mine, I think that the shore living one turned out so pretty. As you can see, it has like a really soft, pretty texture on the fabric, which really adds to the effect. And you can cover any of the foam pumpkins from the Dollar Tree, any of the sizes. I really like that medium size one they normally have though. Hey guys, I would love to see your DIYs. Be sure to join my private Facebook group. I have it linked in the description, and you can share what you've been crafting as well. We would love to see it. Now for the next DIY, I'm going to do like some fall florals, but I decided to mix this one up a little bit by adding a little bit of color. I found this great vase at the Dollar Tree. It's like a dimpled ceramic, and it's like an orange color, which I kind of like. I thought about painting it, but I decided to add a little bit of texture to mine just by using some of the burlap roll to it instead to bring a little bit more color into this project. So I'm going to make a little sleeve for the vase like this. So it brings in a little bit more coastal vibes. And I also wanted to use some of the Dollar Tree lamb's ear and some of their velvet pumpkin picks in blue. So I just attached my burlap with some hot glue, kind of hiding the seam there in the back, and I'm going to leave a little pop of orange. I kind of like it for this one. It's not a very large vase, so I don't have a lot of room for any foam or anything like that, and I'm going to use the greenery that you see there. I thought the best way to stand it up would just be to use some Dollar Tree sand. So it doesn't really matter what color you use. I try to stick with either the white or the tan one, whichever one I can find. And then I love the lamb's ear from the Dollar Tree. I think it's so pretty. So I'm going to cut some of this and just display that instead of fall leaves for an interesting touch. I like to use lamb's ear for every season. I think it goes really well. Those soft, fuzzy green leaves like that look great for coastal decor. So I'm just cutting them into individual pieces so I can place them in here individually and how I like them. The leaves were actually in pretty good condition. I didn't have to do much to them, just making sure they were all intact. I do a total of 3 of them, and I still had one left. I was trying to decide if I could fit that much greenery in there and also be able to do the pumpkins, and I think it's going to work. I add a little bit more sand though, just to make it a little bit stronger. And I really love those little velvet pumpkins that you see there on the pic. I think that's going to be the perfect addition to the lamb's ear. Now I noticed mine were a little bit longer than I'd like. The vase is kind of small. So I just went ahead and trimmed that up. It was a little bit difficult. You kind of have to bend the wire back and forth to be able to trim that down to size. But I put that right in the middle of the lamb's ear, and I think it's looking so cute. Very colorful, a little touch of blue and burlap to give me that coastal feel. I thought it needed one more thing, so I decided to use some of the Dollar Tree lace ribbon to decorate the vase as well. So I'm just going to cut a strip of that just to give it another little fun detail. And how pretty is this lace ribbon? I think it's so nice. It's kind of an ivory color. I'm just going to glue it on at like a sleeve, just like I did with the burlap, like right in the middle to make it look like a lace burlap. I love it. I think that was a perfect final touch. And the little pop of orange is a nice surprise too. Let me show you how that turned out. How beautiful are those velvet pumpkins? I love them, especially against the velvety texture of the lamb's ear leaves. And I'm glad I added the lace to the burlap. It just added a little something to it. Really pretty and kind of a little bit unexpected. Now for the next DIY, look at this gorgeous pumpkin I found at Dollar Tree. It's a perfect color of beachy blue, and it's like a crackle material almost, which I think is really pretty. I thought it would look even better displayed on one of the light blue candle holders from the Dollar Tree, just like that, like the work of art that it is. So this is going to be a really easy DIY. I did want to add a little bit of burlap too, so I'm going to use some of the burlap trim here to finish this off just by cutting a piece to go around the very top here. There's kind of a little bit of a ledge where I can glue that right into place, and it just added a little bit more texture to it. I wanted just to add a few more details so it's not all just blue, and then display this pumpkin right on top. I don't want it to fall off though, so I am going to glue it on. Since it's ceramic to ceramic, I'm going to use some E6000 to make it nice and permanent. So I'm just going to put some of that here on the base of the pumpkin. I was trying to break up just the blue on blue, even though I love it. That's why I added the burlap trim. I'm also going to add some of burlap, like twine or jute twine, to the pumpkin stem. So I just start here at the base and attach it with hot glue, and I wrap that around. Gave it some more brown, kind of broke up the blue color a little bit and added some more texture to it. I think it turned out really pretty. A little bit of hot glue to help keep it in place as I wrap it around, and I just go all the way up to the very end. This DIY was so easy to put together, and I think it's so pretty. Dollar Tree really has some really beautiful ceramic pumpkins like this, and this one's perfect for coastal. I'm just going to burn off the fuzzies there on my twine, and this DIY is complete. Let me show you how it turned out. Really cute, kind of displayed like the work of art that it is. If you wanted to add like a seashell or something to that, you could. I was just going with that blue color, and you can see that really pretty crackle in it. I love that. And those candle holders from the Dollar Tree are always great for coastal decor because they come in that beautiful color of beachy blue. So easy and cute. Okay, you've made it to the final reveal. I hope you've enjoyed today's DIYs. We've done 20 coastal fall Dollar Tree DIYs. Be sure to let me know which one was the favorite down in the comments below, or just come say hello. I need all the distractions from the hurricane that I can get. Enjoy the final reveal.
Open up the window. I'm breathing in the last of September. I can feel the wind blow, and the late summer sky is like a giant ember. Everything is turning into gold when the autumn leaves are playing chase. It puts a smile up on my face. They leave their branches one by one and whirl around there just for fun. Some Since I was a little child, every year for as long as I remember, all the leaves were running wild, going all the way until November. Turn the world around us into gold. When the autumn leaves are playing chase it, puts a smile up on my face. They leave their branches one by one and whirl around there just for fun. Some are faster, some are slow, and some are high and some are low, dancing through the last days of September. I wonder where they're going, the flight of swallows sailing through the sky. There's no way of knowing, but maybe someplace far from you and I. When the autumn leaves are playing chase it, puts a smile up on my face. They leave their branches one by one and whirl around there just for fun. Some are faster, some are slow, and some are high and some are low, dancing through the last days of September. When the autumn leaves are playing chase it, puts a smile up on my face. They leave their branches one by one and whirl around there just for fun. Some are faster, some are slow, and some are high and some are low, dancing through the last days of September. Dancing through the last days of September. Open up the window, I'm breathing in the last of September. I can feel the wind blow, and the late summer sky is like a giant ember. Everything is turning into gold. When the autumn leaves are playing chase it, puts a smile up on my face. They leave their branches one by one and whirl around there just for fun. Some are faster, some are slow, and some are high and some are low, dancing through the last days of September. Since I was a little child, every year for as long as I remember, all the leaves were running wild, going all the way until November. Turn the world around us into gold. When the autumn leaves are playing chase it, puts a smile up on my face. They leave their branches one by one.
Thank you so much for making it all the way to the end of today's video. I'd also like to give a huge shout out and thank you to my Crafty Beach members here on YouTube. Thank you to Karen O'Haran, Melinda Elizabeth, Jamie Job, Susan Edmonds, Tracy Knight, Nancy Wunner, Janae Farrington, Pamelia Wren, Donna Schreiner, Live Another Day, Maren Christensen, Debbie Middleton, Adrian Brolt, Red Mama, Tammy Muir, and Donna Tanner. Thank you so much for supporting me here on YouTube. If you'd like to become a Crafty Beach Bum member, you can get early ad-free access to my content here on YouTube. It's $4.99 a month, and you're free to cancel at any time. Would you like more fall crafting DIYs? Be sure to check out one of these videos right here. And until next time, happy crafting!